Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships for our Saturday edition video, which is an upgrade and commander build on the Tier VII British Battleship, or Battlecruiser I should say, the Rooke. So yesterday we had a Friday highlight of this ship, which will be linked at the end of this video if you didn't catch me with this ship and build in action. So let's hop right into it. So first off, we're going to talk about what type of battleship, battlecruiser is the Rooke. Is she a long range? Is she a mid range? Or is she a close range? To me, honestly, Rooke does best in the mid range. So let's say around that 12-kilometer window, especially when you build into concealment. You can get her concealment down to 11.7, so you can catch a lot of cruisers off guard. So if you play that 12 to 14-kilometer window, for starters, at least, you know, if you need to drop back, of course, if you're getting focused or the team's pushing a flank. But you can make some decent work out of these 381mm guns. And then, of course, her having the torpedoes. These torpedoes, they're 8-kilometer range, and they're meant for more of that brawling, getting close. And you saw me illustrate those in yesterday's video, if you did catch that battle and highlight. So, you know, battleships don't want to just, or cruisers, enemy players don't want to just run up on you without taking your torpedoes into account, because you can put a lot of hurt on them, since these torpedoes have 15,800 max damage each, and you get 2 per side that launch out in squiggly lines from right here. So she's a mid-range battleship that can hold herself up in close quarters. She doesn't have any high acoustic search, and she has very squishy armor, so you have to pick those engagements wisely. In terms of her armor layout, as I said, she's very squishy. So much squishy that she has 16mm bow and stern armor. Typically what you'd find at Tier 7 is you're going to start seeing the 26mm range much more, like you do with the Tier 7 British Battleship, the King George V. But you have 16mm, and then on the sides, it's 26mm with this 305 armor belt. So if you can control players into shooting the armor belt, it's quite nice, because you don't want to actually get shot in the bow and stern. Even by lower caliber battleship or heavy cruiser guns will punch through and will get full pins to the extent that they can actually punch through and enter into your citadel if they hit it right, because your citadel is actually relatively low. But you'll still eat a lot of full pins on the ship if you're not careful in how you position yourself in the ship. So you have to be conscious of that. So we can kind of see a little bit more of what the type of the armor scheme is, because it kind of goes up here and such. And then let's see, torpedo protection, 26mm, right? I was wanting to see if they actually gave me a percentage on that. But so you are squishy, just be mindful of that. I guess the other thing I should probably point out is the gun armor. 381 on the front, 229 on the side, or 305 to 209. And then 457 on the back. So the back of your turrets for some reason are stronger than the forward part of the turrets. So if you get caught out, someone comes up behind you and your turrets are facing like this way, they're not as likely to get knocked out, which usually the back part of the turret's the weakest, or the top, and like here you can see it's the top. So your turrets can get knocked out. I don't think I've had it happen to me yet, but it is possible just because of some of the ship calibers you're going to see in ranked and randoms battles. So let's go ahead and talk about the modules. So first off, you have just the 381mm guns, 31-second reload time. So not a standard 30-second time. 180-degree turn time of 25 seconds, which is actually quite nice. And then you have a HE shell damage of 5,350, AP shell damage 11,450. The AP is really good, but your HE fire chance isn't so high yet when you're on Rooke. It's only at 34%. It will get higher as you go up the line. But, you know, utilizing this for destroyers and for cruisers, I just recommend switching more to the AP for them. And then the hull, this is actually the first upgrade you're going to, upgrade for the module you're going to want to go for. So you're going to go from 52,600 health to 59,200 health, meaning that you're going to be able to last in the engagement much more. You can also see you get a buff to your AA defense and your maneuverability. As you can see now, We have a defense of 67 and maneuverability of 45 versus what it shows here. Your maneuverability is still pretty poor because of your turning circle radius, 950 meters, and rudder shift time of 14.9 seconds is not too bad, but you have a rather large turning circle radius on the ship. You have torpedoes, they're non-upgradable, so 95 seconds is what you get, unless you have adrenaline rush kicking in, that type of thing. It's 8 kilometer, 15,867 maximum damage, speed of 61 knots. Their detectability range, torpedo detectability range by sea, 1.3 kilometers, which is not too bad, it's good. There are other torpedoes in the game that have like 2 kilometers detectability. So this is basically when the enemy player is able to see your torpedo coming at them if they don't have something like the hydroacoustic search activated. Then you have the gun upgrade for the gunfire control system. You're going to go from the mod 1 to the mod 2, so you go from 16.5 kilometers to 18.2 kilometers. Your dispersion with these guns, I think it's like a large dispersion for cruisers, so it's not necessarily tight. And you're gonna find that at range, like let's say you're playing 16 to the 18 kilometer range, it's just not so rewarding. So you want to be more that mid-range window of around the 12 to 15 kilometer. And then when the situation allows, you use your engine boost, you can push in and get use of those torpedoes. For speed, 31.9 knots with a 151,000 horsepower engine. With the Sierra Mike flag, we can boost that up to 33.5 knots. And then with the engine boost, I'll go ahead and pull up my calculator. So if we are at 33.5 knots now, means we can add 2.68 knots. So 2.68 plus the 33.5. Yeah, so yesterday I said that I believed that you could get over 36 knots. I was right, 36.18 knots as total speed you can get with the engine boost, unless you take something like Brisk, and we'll talk about that, and you can get even faster. In terms of the upgrades, first I recommend taking the main armaments modification. Number 1, the risk of your main battery becoming incapacitated and torpedoes becoming incapacitated, negative 20%, torpedo tube and main battery survivability plus 50%, main battery and torpedo tube repair time, negative 20% if they should become incapacitated. Now, fun thing to note with these torpedoes, they're in the hull of the ship. And I don't think it's actually possible to knock out these torpedoes. So those of you who've been playing this line, let me know if you have actually found it possible to knock out these torpedoes, but with them being in the hull and how their armor scheme set up, I don't think it's actually possible to have them knocked out. But let me know if I'm wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if I am wrong. I only know so much about the game. But trying to keep your main guns going, I mean, since you have 9 of those 381mm guns in total, I think is the best route to go. Your auxiliary armaments doesn't really make sense. Your secondaries are blah, your AA is blah. Magazine modification, risk of your ship's magazine detonating, negative 70%. Why do that? When you're playing ranked and randoms, you can, in clan battles, take the Juliet Charlie combat signal, which completely eliminates the risk of your ship's magazine detonating. And then onto the second upgrade, you can see I've mounted the damage control system modification 1. This is reducing the risk of catching fire by negative 5%, risk of flooding, negative 3%. The main reason that I run this is because I'm trying to help with that survivability health pool of the Rook. Since she is a rather squishy battleship, I'm trying to retain what health pool that I can. Otherwise, if you like the ship, you often play it, I'd recommend go ahead and pick up the engine boost modification. So if I just click on it, it's going to take me into the armory, and it's for 17,000 coal. You can get down to 12,750 coal with the coupon, but it gives you an action time of plus 30% for your action time of the engine boost. So right now your action time is 120 seconds. So you can boost that up to, I think off the top of my head, be like 150 seconds. I think something like that. So you have more than the 2 minutes. You get roughly 2.5 minutes of engine boost time. So maybe you're trying to run up, use your torpedoes on an enemy target, and you have that much more additional engine boost before you would wear out when you need to launch those torpedoes. But otherwise, if you're not going to play it that much, I just recommend going for the damage control system modification 1. For the third slot, I don't recommend main battery modification 2 because you already have pretty good 180-degree turn time of 25 seconds. So what I have elected is to help with that dispersion I was talking about. The dispersion's not so great with the Rooke. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not great. So trying to improve it a little bit here and reducing our maximum main battery shell dispersion, which means that our maximum vertical dispersion and our maximum horizontal dispersion is being reduced. So we're getting like tighter groupings with our shells, which in my opinion is really good to go for with this line. None of the other mods upgrades here really make sense. When we look at the, for those who are curious, the secondary armament, right now it's 5.9 kilometer range. Of course, I could build into that and boost it up to 6.2. 8% chance of causing fire, 19 millimeter pin, and then you have 25 millimeter pin on the 152s, 11.4 second reload time, 4.8 second reload time. So you don't play this line for the secondaries. If you want to play a Tier 7 battleship, battlecruiser, for the secondaries, Prinz Heinrich. Fantastic battleship, battlecruiser to take into ranked. I've had some epic games with that ship. Yep, and then for the fourth slot, the damage control system modification 2. I would say the enhanced propulsion most likely, but it's already built into the ship, so you don't need it. So you could help with that steering gear's time if you wanted to reduce your maneuverability. Rotor shift time, improve that a bit. But because of the shipping rather on the squishy side, I kind of want to build into that a bit more to help. So I've elected to take the damage control system modification 2 to reduce my fire extinguishing time and flooding recovery time by negative 15%. In terms of her consumables, she has the standard damage control party. With the build I have right now, we have a 16.5 second consumable action time, reload time of 80 seconds. I could pick up the November Foxtrot, which Wargaming just gave me 100 out of a super container for the end of the month. So very nice of them. So then you can reduce it down to 76 seconds, which is rather nice. Your repair party, our health pull per second is 296. We mount the India Delta combat signal. We're over 350 to 355. Action time 30.8 seconds. Again, if you had November Foxtrot, reduces it down to 76 seconds. So I do recommend running the India Delta, especially for running randoms or ranked. Your engine boost, we've already talked about a little bit, plus 8% maximum speed, action time of 120 seconds, reload time of 120 seconds, you only get 3 of them. And again, we can reduce that cooldown time down to 114 seconds, so we're having that engine boost back up a bit more quickly. And then defensive AA, continuous damage plus 50%, shell explosion plus 300%. I'll go ahead and open up the AA window. The AA is blah, like they give you defensive AA, but it's because you give the ship defensive AA doesn't mean that it's going to have insane AA. It's 67 right now. You can see continuous damage is 231, damage by shell explosions 1260. I need to see what, I think it's the short and mid-range is higher values where your long-range AA is rather poor. Yeah, so when you see here, your short-range AA guns 333, mid-range 312, long-range 67. So it's not really until they get within that 2.5 kilometer window that your AA is actually doing something. So that's why I didn't even mention the defensive AA fire modification consumable. It's because your AA is crap, and your AA is only reliable when the ship enemy CV gets within that 2.5 kilometer window, essentially. That's when you're able to do the most damage. Now we can buff this up a little bit with the combat signal here. So you see we went to AA rating of 68, and some higher numbers were applied to the different ranges of AA guns. In terms of signals, what I would most likely run would be something like this. Just because you have 8 slots doesn't mean you have to run all 8 slots. This would be probably standard what I would run, just because I also want to improve the ship's characteristics of her speed. So naturally I would like to have something like this. In terms of the commander, some of you may have been wondering yesterday, or I know I'm going to get asked in the comments, how did I get the Weeb commander, Nelson? And if I'm being honest, I don't remember. I want to say it was through... Gosh, okay, I'm going to take a moment to actually figure this out. I can't remember if I got it through a combat mission or if I got it through a collection. I'm probably mixing it up with Azuma. I think there was a combat mission is what you had to do to pick up this, but I would not be surprised that I'm mistaken and I'm incorrect. Was also possible when Wargaming has Azure Lane collaborations that you can pick up the commanders there as well. Of course, you could have multiple of the same commander. So I only have a few in the game, but it's fun. Honestly, I like running the commander just so I hear something different when firing the guns or take damage or deal damage, because I think it's rather funny versus just the standard voice. So that's my main reason, if I'm being honest, that I run them. But someone had to say in the comments, besides buying them through the Azure Link collaborations that World of Warships has, how to exactly pick that commander was possible to pick up, because I got it for free, I didn't pay for it. In terms of the commander skills, probably going to rework this as I go up the line. For now, I'll just highlight what I have done. So I've taken the gun feeder, main battery shell type switching time, -40%. And then for our 3-point skill, 3-point commander, we've taken the main battery traverse speed. That is what's helping us get down to that 25-second, 180-degree turn time. And then for 6-point commander, we've gone for a adrenaline rush. So our main battery reload time is being reduced. Our torpedo tube reload time is being reduced. Our secondary reload time is being reduced. Our continuous AA damage is getting increased as our ship takes damage. So it's nice, especially when you can start dropping this reload time of these guns beneath 30 seconds. So I do recommend adrenaline rush. And then for the 10-point commander, I picked up Adrenaline Rush, Adrenaline Rush Fire Prevention Expert first, because of there being a lot of HE spam in the game, and you're reducing how much damage you're taking by taking this skill. Risk of catching fire, -10%, maximum number of fires, -1. And real quick, if you're not familiar with fire prevention, I'll explain what it does very briefly. So right now, 4 fires without Fire Prevention Expert could be set on the ship, 1 on the bow, 1 on the stern, and 2 on the superstructure. Fire prevention not only reduces your chance of catching fire by -10%, but it takes these 2 fires and you only have 1 fire. Not that you're burning for the double damage in that 1 fire, like it's just 1 fire. So then you're taking less damage and you have a rather large superstructure on the Rooke. So that is why I really recommend running fire prevention on this ship, because a lot of cruisers, destroyers, they're going to be targeting your superstructure, right? It's a lot of 16mm, which means you can they can definitely get some decent pin damage there, so on and so forth. So that is what fire prevention does. So as a 10-point commander, I'd recommend running that. For 14-point commander, I'd actually go ahead and recommend picking up the Emergency Repair Expert. Your damage control party consumable action time is +10%, so that's why you're seeing that 16.5 seconds rather than the 15 seconds that was there before. You have unlimited number of the damage controlled party consumables. Your repair party consumable action time goes up by +10%, so rather than it being 28 seconds, it's 30.8 seconds. And then instead of having 4 heals, you have 5 heals. So sometimes I have burned through a good number of heals. So being able to have the 5th heal is nice in my opinion. Now it is alternative up to you if you'd rather take Concealment Expert first as a 14-point skill or not. For myself, I intend to pick it up as an 18-point commander. So ship detectability range, -10%. So you can see it drops our detectability by sea to 11.7 and by air down to 10.1. So this is rather cheeky once you take the Concealment Expert, because if there's no CVs spotting you, you can catch cruisers off guard quite easily if you're pushing up on a flank and there's no destroyer there, as an example. And it helps you to disengage and heal back damage that you have taken. And then for 21-point commander, all said and done, I intend to run the basics of survivability: module restoration time, -15%, fire extinguishing time, -15%, flooding recovery time, -15%. This is a pretty standard 21-point battleship build that you're going to see on a lot of battleships within the game. Some variation between the gun feeder though. Probably what I'd actually do is I'd drop a gun feeder and I'd pick up the emergency repair specialist, which reduces our damage control party consumable cooldown time by 3% and repair party consumable cooldown time by -3% also. So what I'm going to end up doing, we'll have to see. I'm playing with the gun feeder for now, but I haven't really felt like I've got a lot of good use out of it yet. But I would probably pick up the emergency repair specialist now that I've been playing the line. So that would be the only change that I would critique and make myself as I experiment and try out this line. So with that being said, we're going to wrap up this video. So if you like today's upgrade commander build video, give the video a like. If not, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe if you haven't. I'm very thankful we passed 1,250 subscribers a couple days ago, so I really do appreciate the support in that way. It means a lot, and I've been enjoying doing the channel and helping y'all out with what knowledge I do possess of the game. So, and if you have subscribed already, thanks so much. I appreciate your support. And until next time, take care.